And so it all leads to sprawl. Like, all shut down, man. There's not really a point, not actually. Freedom of the speech, freedom of the religion. And it's just like, okay, so like this series, okay? There's the concept of a series, this tribal and this Negro private investigator team, all right? Television series, okay? And it's like a Miami Vice spinoff, sort of. And and this tribal and this Negro, they became friends in high school, all right? And then like within their early 30s, the Negro is being unemployed for like a couple of weeks, and he has a wife, and the Negro and his wife, they have a house. Though the Negro is being unemployed for like a couple of weeks, and he's got this tribal friend, and he's sort of a bookworm. He's not me specifically, not actually. He's just a tribal, and he lives in within the city. And he's sort of a bookworm, and he wants to make a private investigator team. He poses to his Negro friend, okay? And so they become licensed and bonded private investigators. And they become individually licensed and bonded in private investigators because it's cheaper that way, and because like it costs twice as much or a little bit more within various different states for private investigators to work as teams. Okay, I mean like sort of quite a lot more of an expense to work as a team. Okay? Yeah. All right. There's a point about this story. And so they become individually licensed, and they're working out of their homes for the first half of the series of the first for the first half of the first season. All right? And they're good. I mean and okay, and so like they're working through this. They're working out of their homes, okay, for half of the first season, and they finally make enough money that they can become licensed to work together as a team, and as well they rent an office within the city. Sort of cool. And they get to that point, and they're working together. At conclusion of the first season, okay, now these outlines, they sort of work in layers, okay, and with reference context of writing outline for a series, okay, and so the outlines work in layers, and so outline a single layer of first couple few seasons, okay, and then the second layer and the third layer, and you continue to add content about for this reason and that reason is the next because you're influencing a population of people a particular way. All right, considering various particular contexts, you're influencing a population of people when writing a series really is sort of the point. All right, so at conclusion of the first season, the tribal decides that, well, they can confiscate stolen vehicles. And they can, and because the insurance companies write those vehicles off when the vehicles actually are stolen, then the private investigators can confiscate the stolen vehicles when finding them, and they can retitle the stolen vehicles. So the tribal, okay, the Negro is sort of the leader of the group, characteristics and da 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 da. Though the tribal is sort of the bookworm, and he wants the private investigator team, and he's yeah, and so la 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 la. All right, and so the tribal wants to confiscate stolen vehicles and retitle them and sell them later. All right? They're legit. Yeah. So the tribal wants to buy this, he finds this 5 acre parcel of land outside of the city. Okay? He thinks that's sort of strategic for all the cars that they're going to confiscate and for a number of reasons. The Negro is really cool with that. They're friends, okay? They've got a relationship. They've been friends for a while. And so, second season, oh yeah, and like 3/4 of the way through the season, they hire a secretary to work for the office. She's a white college girl. Okay, younger, yeah, yeah. She's sort of just a side token in the series. Okay, just like a little icon or whatever. So anyway, yeah, and so the second season, to try essentially they build a barn, a pole barn, out upon the 5 acre lot. The tribal wants to live in the loft of the pole barn. Like the second episode, tribal moves into the loft. Okay, and so they're still working on cases and they're still confiscating cars and they're making quite a lot of money on the cars. They're still working on the cases. The tribal likes the cases. The Negro likes the cases. They're working on things and learning that, like, they're taking private investigator cases and they're writing reports, quite a lot of just reports and doing investigative work and some la 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 la. There are details, okay? First layer of outline. All right. So then there sort of becomes this lethal weapon sort of twist about this Miami Vice sort of spin-off series. They're cool themes. And like, though it's not like Mel Gibson and that other guy, not actually. It's like the team, right? Yeah, yeah. Who's that? Danny Glover. All right. Though I mean it's balanced out, okay. Though in the second season, like there are quite a lot of features about the tribal and the Negro working together within the shop. They're working on the vehicles that are stolen. They get tore up when they're stolen, man. They get tore up, and the tribal has some mechanics work and some mechanical experience, and so it sort of establishes like how the Negro, the leader of the team, like really sort of embraces this new work venture with the tribal friend of his, okay, because it's sort of more fun and they're getting the foundation of their business actually established. And it's sort of cool. All right. And so the series actually is going through the second season. And that's sort of quite a lot of the gist of the second season. And at the conclusion of the second season, there's a scene of the tribal and the Negro are within the shop working on a vehicle. And the tribal poses that he wants to actually essentially build a cheap basement upon the property with a like a a 20 by 10 storage. Uh, it's called it's a metal building. It's sort of like a storage container. Storage container. Uh huh. He wants to buy a 20 by 10 storage container and bury it with like a French drain beneath it, and for a safe house. Uh huh. Like because it's like he's getting concerned. All right, because they're stealing stolen cars. They're stealing cars from thieves. Okay, and so he's getting sort of concerned. He's thinking about people's safety and so forth. And the scene actually sort of plausibly humorous because the Negro really is thinking about how ridiculous that actually is. That okay, nobody's aware of this property, this 5 acre property, not actually, and like what? So if there were an emergency, the tribal and the Negro and his wife are supposed to get down in a hole in the ground. No, really, not actually. All right, and how ridiculous that seems. And the Negro drops the wrench and like looks at the tribal, sort of, like you understand what I'm talking about? How ridiculous that is. Let's just save our money, sort of thing. Okay, cool. And they're friends, and they're cool. All right. Ah, and it's just suggestion, la la la. And then, like third season, and yeah, and there's content amidst it all. There are reasons about each episode, la la la. Third season, and like second episode, and the tribal suddenly hasn't shown up to work for like a couple of days. The Negro goes out to the shop outside of the city, and the tribal has purchased a storage container and has rented a bulldozer with a front end loader and is digging a hole. And so they go into the shop and have a talk. And the tribal suggests, well, he wants to actually start essentially stealing guns as well from the people that steal the vehicles, right? Because I mean, they can stockpile the weapons within the the safe house, and it's partly because like the tribal has this survivalist mentality, and he wants to build this 5 acre property into like a fort, a survivalist fort. And because the tribal and Negro are friends, like the Negro's really sort of supportive. He's being supportive and protective, like throughout their total lives. Okay, and he was cool with the property. Like it wasn't a question, not at all. And like, okay, and so yeah, and la 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 la. The point really is that the the series sort of gets ghost ridden into America's living rooms and stops at the third season, and it's like, wait, what was that about? because the tribal was single. Okay, the tribal didn't have plans to get married. He wasn't going to marry a white girl, not at all. He didn't really want to get married to a black girl, not actually. He's tribal. And, oh yeah, there aren't tribal females within the city, not actually. Because the tribal was raised in amidst America. Tribals don't want to live amidst a bunch of Americans, not at all. They just don't. They don't want to reside amidst a bunch of Americans. No way. Sort of implied. And it just sort of like, I mean, upon third season, it just sort of like, well, there's sort of, huh? Well, what do you expect, man? So there's sort of interesting content amidst it. So yeah, I mean, Gaians could punch holes through it. America. Freedom of the speech! Freedom of the religion!